I mean, what's your favorite video game soundtrack?
Okay, favorite video game soundtrack. Part of me wants to say Fallout 3, but I think it's going to be Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the first
Really?
one.
I
Yeah.
don't remember the soundtrack that much, but
Man.
does it have like a whole lot of stuff from the movies?
No, it's all original.
Yeah.
And it like sounds, in my opinion, it sounds better than the movies. Too.
Yeah.
And I know that's something like crazy to say because they're pretty good, but man, it might be honestly because I played the game too much. I think I've beaten the game at least 30 times.
Yeah.
But the music in that game,
Mm-hmm.
that
Do you know who did the music?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember his name.
I'm not sure.
Because I know Fallout 3, that's Einon Zur.
Who's it? What's the dude that does Halo? Is that Frank? Or no?
That is Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore.
Oh, okay.
They composed it together.
Okay.
In a class I took a couple of years ago. It was called History of Video Game Music. We actually got to.
Was it here?
It was at main campus.
Oh, okay.
It's actually what like caused me to change majors.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, what?
I have to go into music production right now because I need to compose music for video games. That's like, it like hit me hard, and I was like, I have to do this.
Do you have any like you have a SoundCloud or anything?
Yeah. It's,
and you have stuff on there?
yeah.
For real? Hold on. What's your SoundCloud?
It's Santiago Ramones.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll remember that
Yeah.
then.
But we got to interview Martin O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, actually. Two separate interviews, but like they're the coolest.
There.
Actually, recently, take information from different podcasts on a podcast, but whenever Martin O'Donnell was working on Destiny, he actually got to work with wow, this is the worst time to forget Paul McCartney's name, but Paul McCartney, Martin O'Donnell got to work with Paul McCartney
I think I remember
on a song
this.
for Destiny, and
Okay.
like to the point to where they actually got to like text each other, you know, like to have Paul McCartney's name and just text him like,
Oh, man.
if he texts you one day, because later like Martin O'Donnell got like he got fired from Bungie.
Did he sue them? I think he
Yeah,
won.
he sued them and won, but
Okay.
like whenever that happened, like Paul McCartney texted him and goes like, "Hey, are you doing okay?" Like,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
He's a sweetheart.
Well, yeah. But I mean,
I know.
how
Paul
awesome
McCartney.
do you have to be to get, you know, to have Paul McCartney's number and have Paul McCartney text you and be like, "Are you doing all right? I know you just
Yeah.
got fired." Yeah.
Oh, man, that's. Did he tell you guys that in the interview, or was that
no,
like in?
no, that was
Oh.
from a different podcast.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, yeah, I can't remember who did the KOTOR soundtrack. My favorite game soundtrack. Did you ever play Fable?
Man, we really could talk about video games all day.
This is
I
what
think
we're
I
doing.
played too many video games. Maybe I played Fable.
That soundtrack is
Yeah, that's a good soundtrack.
crazy and whimsical, and like it's really catchy too.
Is
like,
it Fable 1?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That it never, it surprisingly doesn't have that much music. It just uses a lot of the same music for
Yeah.
a bunch of the same like situations, but it works like every time to where he's just wandering around Albion and it's just like do 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 do, and it's like it's just so catchy that
It is.
it never
It's beautiful.
gets old.
That was man, that was such a good game. It makes me sad that
Yeah,
there's
Lionhead.
most likely not going to be another Fable.
Well, no,
maybe.
Lionhead is closed.
Yeah, because they're yeah.
I mean, I guess Microsoft could just like take the Fable name and just give it to someone else.
Yeah, they could. I don't know what would happen. I don't know how the game would be.
Exactly.
What's the guy's name that was like the tall guy, Peter Molyneux?
Peter Molyneux.
He broke my heart too many times. He promised too many things. He said, yes, you can have a child and they'll grow up with you and then you'll play as them and then you'll have a dog and they'll die and have puppies and all this. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. And then it never happened.
Sort of. I mean, you did have a child.
Yeah.
You did,
At least he did
have
some of this stuff.
No, but nothing quite beats the original Fable.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
How do you feel about, like, they kept going, like, towards the future in the game? And I always just wanted them to, like, go backwards.
Yeah.
Even in Fable 1, they kept talking about, like, the old kingdom and stuff.
Yeah, I wanted them to go back too. I wasn't the biggest fan of the other Fables. And Fable 2, it was good. Fable 3 had some cool ideas.
Couldn't even get through it.
Man, it was kind of bad, but it had the cool idea. I liked that your sword kind of changed with you. I thought that was cool. And you could, like, look like an angel or some demon. My dude was so angelic.
Well, yeah, but, like...
But everything else.
Yeah, but Fable 1 is, like...
that's
in the same way that you've played Knights of the Old Republic so many times.
You play Fable.
Fable 1 is like the one that I've played so many times. Like, evil run, good run, evil run. Well, I started with a good run, so it's just like good run, evil run, good run, evil run.
When you were a little kid, were you always good?
Oh, yeah. Every time.
I, like, flipped. When I was a little kid, I would always be so evil for some reason. And now I'll always do, like, really good choices, but... I must have been, like, sadistic or something, because I would do some evil stuff on video games.
I don't know. Like, even I recently did a playthrough of Fable 1, and then I tried doing an evil playthrough immediately afterwards, and I was like, I can't do this right now.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And, like, yeah, it's like video game people or whatever. It's like, I can't do this right now.
See, I'd go through the same thing. I'm like, it's just a video game, but, man, I don't want to do this to this person.
Especially in Mass Effect, that, like...
Oh, man.
Mass Effect, especially in Mass Effect 2, whenever they start throwing in the like, renegade interruptions
Paragon.
and the Paragon interruptions, to where it's like... It's either really Paragon or really Renegade. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to just do this good thing for someone. It's like, oh, I'm going to donate my whole life savings to charity or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to do this Renegade thing. It's like, I'm going to kill 300 babies. It's like,
yeah, like,
jeez, man. But I did a full playthrough of a good run. I still
Mass
haven't.
Effect?
Yeah, I still haven't done a full Renegade playthrough.
I think I have. Man, I think the first time I played Mass Effect, I was full Renegade. It's not worth it. The amount of karma that you feel like you'll receive from playing this video game and being just full Renegade. Yeah. Man.
Well, especially in Mass Effect 2, because, like, if you do go, like, 100% Renegade, then you just don't survive.
Yeah. Man, that was a good game. That was such a good game. Oh, my God. I, like, want to go, like, every year I, like, play through Mass Effect, like, the trilogy at least once. At least once. All the other games I can't go. Like, I can't go through Fallout or Skyrim because it's too much.
Yeah, that is way too much.
It's way too much. I get, like, migraines thinking about... When I just look at the map and there's no locations on it and I have to discover everything again, I'm like, I can't go through it.
I've actually recently been playing New Vegas.
Hey.
And I don't enjoy it quite as much as I did 3. Fallout 3 just, like...
Yeah, that was the one.
It felt so good, but, like, to jump back into New Vegas, it was like, man, I have to start all the way over. Because, you know, in that one point in RPGs, when you're just like a god.
Oh, yeah, you're like, just unstoppable.
Oh, man, there's no place I could run in and just dominate. But, like, jumping all the way back down, I'm just like, man.
Yeah, you can get killed by a death claw in one hit.
Yeah. It's a struggle once you've already been, like, unstoppable.
Yeah, I feel you. Like, I'm about to finish this DLC for Fallout 4, and I'm probably not going to touch it for a good long time because I can't start all the way over and be level 1 again.
I haven't played Fallout 4 yet because I don't have an next-gen console yet, but I'm waiting around for that Scorpio.
See, that's what I'm debating, man. I'm debating on if I should get the Scorpio or not. Because from the way they're hyping it up, it's making me be like, I don't know. Maybe I should. I don't know. We'll see.
Which is why I feel pretty good about having waited.
Yeah.
Like,
See, you were
before getting
smart
Xbox
because
One.
I was on the hype train. I was like, I got to get it now. Because I wasn't on the hype train with the 360. I had to wait like 2 years, and I felt so left behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, this will never happen to me again.
But what you do get is, like, as soon as you get the new console, you're like, look at all these games I have to play now. And so, like, you kind of get, like, the whole excitement, like, all at once. And, like, you're like, man, I have this pile of games. As opposed to, like, I'm sure early adopters of PS4 were just like, I got Knack.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, with Xbox One, like,
what came out?
here's Rise.
Oh, yeah, Rise. Oh, yeah, I remember there was only like 3 games or something.
Exactly.
Really, yeah.
And, I mean, that's how it is every launch.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, you wait a little bit and they're like, man, there's some good stuff here. So
I guess that is true, because when I got the 360, man, I was able to get so many games. I was able to get so... Dang, you really were smart about it. Man, I hope they let me trade in my... Wait, I hope I can transfer all my stuff to the Scorpio. If they can let me do that, and they let me trade it in, I'm trading it in so fast. I'm going to get the Scorpio.
Yeah, exactly. How, like... I mean, obviously you know about Scorpio. How up to date do you stay with, like, video game news and stuff?
Video game news? I think I stay pretty up to date. I go to IGN every day.
I go to IGN all the time.
That's probably, besides Twitter, maybe Twitter and occasionally Facebook, that's probably the top one I go to.
Do you listen to the IGN podcasts?
No, I only listen to, I think there's like 2 other podcasts, and I don't know if they're like huge podcasts like that.
Sure.
Because the reason I gotten into listening to podcasts, do you know who Charlemagne is?
I mean,
he's like this dude, not like the
not
historical
from history,
dude.
but yeah, okay.
He works at this radio station called The Breakfast Club, or Power 103.5, and he's one of the radio personalities. And he has a podcast with this comedian named Andrew Schultz, and they're called The Brilliant Idiots.
Okay.
And so that's how I got into it, because I would drive to Norman to visit my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, these drives to Norman, like, it's like 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
and
fill time with
I'm like
podcasts.
going through all the music that I have. I'm like, eventually I keep listening to the same stuff.
Exactly.
So I started listening to podcasts, and man, the drive went by instantly.
Exactly.
It got so bad to the point where, like, the podcast would be like an hour and like 30 minutes or something. I would like reach the destination. I would, let me stay in the car a little bit longer and finish this.
I actually don't really mind traffic very much because
because the podcast,
and audiobooks. Like,
that's what I need to do, because I need to listen to a couple books on audio.
Because then it's like, oh man, I gotta sit in my car this whole time, like, without podcasts, and with podcasts, like, great, I get to sit in my car this whole time.
Yeah, like, everything is so beautiful when you listen to podcasts, because like, there's no such thing as wasted time. You're like, well, I'll just listen to this podcast while I'm waiting then.
And there's just so many podcasts to listen to. But yeah, since you like IGN, I would recommend Beyond and Unlocked.
Okay.
I mean, even if you're not like a real big PS4 person, like,
I love PlayStation. I just don't have one.
Well, yeah, sure. So like, Beyond is still worth listening to, and also just like the people on there are great.
Do you remember the names of who's on it?
Yeah, it's on Beyond. It's Brian Altano, Max Scoville, Alana Pierce, and Marty Sleva. Most of the time, yeah. And then on Unlocked, which is the Xbox one, Ryan McCaffrey, and Marty Sleva and Alana Pierce, and because they just go to all the podcasts, but Destin Legary and Sean Finnegan, but they're all great, and they're different in their own ways, but like that's how I stay up to date with video games. It's I mean, really, I don't listen to as much music going to ACM. Like, I don't listen to as much music as I listen to podcasts, but like, still, I I get a lot out of podcast listening, instead of like listening to the same album over and over again, you know?
Yeah. Podcasts are blowing up, man. They're like about to like explode the market. At least you're on it before a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of like famous people are starting to get on it, but like local level, I can probably only name like maybe like 5 people that probably have a podcast. So I'm glad that you're on, because I know everybody's probably about to start trying to get on it.
Yeah. Man, we're doing a meta podcast about podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope people listen.
Yeah, they will.
Thanks for listening right now.
Hey, everybody. My name is Duquan.
One of my favorite, just to like make a cool train of thought into something else, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to is Sam Harris's podcast. You know who Sam Harris is? I mentioned him in class.
I remember
earlier, and so
that's why it sounds familiar.
A lot of moral philosophy. There was like a time whenever I majored in vocal music ed for 2 years, and then I switched over here. But like before making that switch, I was like, I don't know if I like need to like finish a bachelor's before going over here or something. And so I was like, what should I major in then? And I really debated being a philosophy major. So like, I guess I'm like, I like philosophy, but I'm not like 100% in it. But someone like Sam Harris, who does a lot of modern philosophy and ethics and stuff like that I really enjoy. And so what I had mentioned in class that other day about like saving the Picasso painting to get millions of dollars instead of the burning child, like, that's a quandary in, you know, a thought experiment, which happens a lot in philosophy, a thought experiment that is really challenging. And so one of my favorite topics to really think about is free will. What are your thoughts on free will, Duquan?
On free will? Well, what are your thoughts on free will? You're the one who loves philosophy.
Okay, well, there's no free will.
Okay.
There's just any. We are the product of our environment. We are brains in the bodies that just come from biology. And it's not that you can't make decisions, because you obviously are the one making decisions. I'm the one that's choosing to speak right now. But you don't have a choice over who you are and who you've become. We're all just lucky enough to be born where and when we are, with the environment that we have, and the influences from around us impact us. And so, yeah, I can make the choice to like stand up right now, but everything that happened before in my life informed the decision that I would be making right now. And it's not that I don't have a choice to stand up right now. It's that I would have made that choice anyways.
Oh, man.
And the problem goes to determinism, which a lot of people have a problem with, because it just says that like, oh, well, it doesn't matter what I choose because it's already determined. So, it doesn't matter if I'm a good person. I'm just going to go rape and kill or whatever, because it doesn't matter what I do. But that's not true, because like I said, you still make the decisions that you do, and everyone that you listen to and your whole environment shapes who you are. And so a lot of the like fatalist deterministic argument is like, well, why should I convince people otherwise because it doesn't matter, like they don't have the free will to change. And that's actually something that I have a really big problem with. Like earlier you had said, and earlier in lots of podcasts that I've had with people, a lot of people end up saying like, there's no point trying to change people's minds. They're just going to be that way and just let them be that way. And I refuse to believe that because people's minds can change. The evidence exists that people will change their minds. They're like, you take someone who's a white supremacist and like you show them like this beautiful, quaint black family who is perfectly nice. They're perfectly smart. They're, just the opposite of what this white supremacist like believes about black people or whatever. And then they go, oh, well, that kind of changes my whole perception. Like I said, I might be wrong is kind of that point that it doesn't just apply to me. It applies to everyone else. And that goes with everything, with any other belief that anyone has. Anyone's mind can change because of their environment. And so we have to be responsible enough to make the environment be a place that creates good people.
Okay, I understand that.
What's your view on free will?
Free will. This is going to sound... Okay. I really honestly don't have one because I'm very conflicted about it in a way that like tumbles into another topic. Because if you believe in a higher power, then you have to tangle with free will a little bit.
Exactly.
Because I want to believe in free will, but if you believe in a higher power, then you have to be, okay, if you believe in free will, is that higher power all powerful? Because if there's free will, then he's not all powerful anymore. So you take that away from him, and so you're saying, then what is this higher power? So I really don't know about my free will, man. From what you're saying, like you over here swaying me to your side. I'm like, well, he has some really good points. Maybe he's right. We don't have free will. Because I get what you're saying about we have the ability to make choices. That was tight.
I don't know if I actually caught it, but
but I like what you said about we have the ability to make choices. But when it boils down to the free will aspect, we possibly don't.
I mean, I just think it's like we were going to make that choice anyway.
Yeah.
You were going to make that choice anyway. All of the neurons in your brain are structured exactly to where whenever something happens in your environment, that exact reaction is going to happen in your brain to have you, react a certain way. But you like, and this goes all the way down to like Buddhism. Like, there's this kind of meditation called Vipassana Meditation. It's actually been getting really popular lately. Like mindfulness meditation. You said you watched Steven Universe, right?
Oh yeah.
So are you like up to date?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All the way.
So the song "Here Comes a Thought."
What episode is that?
That was mindfulness education, where Steven and Connie like are having trouble being a fusion because Connie like hurt the kid or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Garnet taught Stevani mindfulness meditation.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
And a lot of what mindfulness meditation is focusing on breathing, because it's one thing that you can, like, no matter where you are, always go back to because you're always breathing, or else you're dead. But mindfulness meditation is focusing on your breathing, trying to get rid of thoughts. You can't succeed in getting rid of thoughts. They just happen. You don't have a choice. But it's about acknowledging the thoughts as they come up and then going, hey, that's a thought, and then going back to your breathing. So you're taking your focus, just putting it on one thing, And so as thoughts arise, you can still be able to sort of ignore them and go back to your thought. It's a form of mindfulness that, for one, it shows me that I don't really have free will because I don't actually have a choice over the thoughts that come up in my head. Like,
yeah, that is true, actually.
But it also helps you to calm down all of the weird, anxious, stressful thoughts that come up in your head. Just kind of being able to, like,
do you practice that?
Yeah. Mostly in times when it's like a stressful situation. I try to be a pretty calm person in general anyways. But yeah, whenever stuff gets like stressful, for example, if you were listening to last week's podcast, for the listener that is, that whenever I do cosplay and we do like cosplay skits.
Are you serious? You do cosplay?
Yeah.
I want to do cosplay so bad. I want to be Static Shock.
Oh man, you'd be the best Static Shock.
That's my dream. I want to be Static Shock so bad.
But there was a point where not necessarily whenever we were in prejudging, there was a moment where like we were ready to perform, but like the band that had played the night before at like, because the convention still had their drums on the stage, and we couldn't touch the drums because, you know, they're handlers or whatever, and can't touch other people's drums. So we basically had to like perform in front of the drums with like a very small amount of stage, and so everyone was just like freaking out, and I was just like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're doing. Here it is. And it wasn't Vipassana then, but later, whenever we were performing, like for everyone, like we do prejudging, which is just like for a small amount of people. But then there's like the actual performance in front of like everyone who shows up to the cosplay contest, which is pretty much everyone at the convention. And so before that, we were just kind of sitting around, and I sat for a moment, focused on my breathing, let the thoughts go by, and like it's really hard whenever there's a lot going on, and so it's not about trying to make thoughts go away, but really just acknowledging that they're there.
I'm gonna try and practice that next time. I'm gonna try and do that.
Sam Harris actually has a guided meditation thing on his podcast, so it's actually like the very first one. There's like a 9-minute version, like a 30-minute version if you have the time to meditate for 30 minutes. But if you just want to do the 9-minute version, don't do it while driving, because you have to close your eyes. But he just kind of guides you, like sit down in a chair, breathe, notice these things, pay attention to this, and then go back to the breath. Like it's nice and quiet and still. And if you're having a stressful day or something, if you can like knock out 9 minutes of time to just like put some headphones in and just breathe.
Okay. Sam Harris. What was the podcast called?
Waking Up.
And
then, but yeah, like I was saying in Steven Universe, the song "Here Comes a Thought," like as I was watching it with my girlfriend, I was like, oh man, this is mindfulness meditation. Like it's like very explicitly like, oh, this is mindfulness meditation. Because I already knew about that, but like basically Rebecca Sugar just exposed, you know, lots of kids to mindfulness meditation.
That's, man, I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Exactly. Hold on a sec. Okay. Tell me about Steven Universe.
Steven Universe. Man, oh man, this is my new favorite show.
Really?
I started watching it because my girlfriend watched it, I think, a year ago. she didn't watch it all the way. I think honestly she only watched probably 10 episodes. So just off the strength of her telling me, yeah, you have to watch the show, it's so good. I just decided, a year later, I decided, okay, I have nothing else to watch, and sometimes I'll get very like ADD like, and sometimes like TV or video games can like calm me down. That'll be the only thing that can calm me down. So I was like, let me sit down and watch this. That show is so beautiful. I've never seen the show like, I've watched a good amount of Adventure Time. I'm very far behind, but man, that Steven Universe is a beautiful show. It makes me want to be such a good person. It makes me want to be so much more patient. I want to be a gym so bad. I want to be a gym so bad. Now I want to be a hybrid like Steven, infused with gyms and humans. But that's a very good show.
Yeah. And there's a lot of analogies and nods to like different social things. I mean, obviously all the gems are female.
Yes.
And so they have relationships among themselves.
I
which,
love Garnet.
You know,
Sapphire and
Garnet, like herself. Garnet is the best thing in the show.
Yes.
I mean, Steven is amazing, but like Garnet's my favorite.
Yeah, she's my favorite. I love Garnet. I remember I was so shocked when she was a fuse, man. She was a fusion. I was like, what? I was like, hold on, what? You saw that episode?
Yeah. But
that
like
episode was so beautiful when you find out they were, and they were on that ship, and that song, I forgot how it goes, but that was my favorite song on Steven Universe.
And then, so, I mean, there's the fact that all the gems are female, which is already, like, offensive to lots of people because, hey, look, here we got lesbians. A whole bunch of lesbian rocks. So, but then they throw out, like universal love that Steven is constantly, like, trying to give people
that sometimes debatable if they deserve it. Like his one friend that works at, what's his name, Lars? He's kind of a douche sometimes, but he still loves Lars to death, man.
Exactly. Universal love. And then even with like Jasper.
Man, it's sad, man.
No spoilers because that one is pretty recent. But for Steven to try and help even an enemy, like that's even more, you know, just guys, love is the meaning of life. Like I was telling you, like, and then, you know, fusion's an analogy for sex, right?
Yeah. First time they ever did it, I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And then it threw me off though, because I was thinking that the whole time. But then when him and Connie.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay. What's happening on?
But it's an analogy for sex, but it's not sex, but it like is.
It is. Or is it just like full acceptance of the person?
Exactly. And so it's an analogy for sex because it's like, you know, you become one with the other person, but it's even more than that.
Yeah. It's kind of beautiful. I kind of like it.
It is really beautiful because you become a new person when you fuse. You remember in Mass Effect
with the Asari?
With the Asari.
I was just about to talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing. They mind meld.
I wish we could do that as humans.
Because it's the understanding thing you were talking about. Like when the Asari, like, embrace eternity with each other.
Eternity.
They like give each other all of their mind, all of their understanding.
That one's beautiful too, but it's a little bit more creepy than
because
their eyes turn black and they're like embrace eternity.
Yeah.
At least the gems dance together and they fuse.
But Steven Universe promotes this kind of like free love kind of idea that, like, you know, everyone's fusing with everyone. But I mean, it's a good thing, but it's an important thing. Yeah. Like, it's not just like, just fusing willy-nilly. Yeah. It's like, no, like, it really has to mean something between the people who are fusing. And then the rape analogy with Lapis and
Yes.
Jasper,
Yes, that.
That's why
I caught that one
powerful.
too when I was watching. I was like, man, this is a strong show.
Mm-hmm.
Cartoon Network's doing pretty good when it comes to their cartoons. Like they have some it made me want to make a cartoon or something. I was like, I want to write one.
Exactly.
I didn't know you can be so.
I mean,
do this.
you got a Regular Show and Adventure Time and Steven Universe. And I haven't watched Amazing World of Gumball, but I hear good things about it.
I haven't watched that one either. I've seen a couple of Regular Show, but I've seen more of Adventure Time. I stopped watching because it made me a little bit too sad. I stopped watching after this one episode with Marceline and Ice King.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little bit of some backstory stuff. And I was like, yo, what kind of stuff is happening on this show? I can't deal with this.
I came here to laugh at cartoons.
Yes, like I thought it was going to be a funny episode. Like, they better talk about the backstory. No.
No, they talked about the backstory.
It was a tear jerker. It was a tear jerker. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Another show that you should watch.
Yeah.
Gravity Falls.
I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch that.
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
You can watch Gravity Falls.
Okay. How many seasons is it?
2 seasons.
Just 2?
It's over. It is just this
the show's
isolated
done?
thing. Yes, the show is over.
I like that. Some Breaking Bad stuff. Like, here's a story. Here you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because anytime anyone tries to take a show and just squeeze as much as they can out of it, it just becomes bad at the end.
Yeah.
You know, it happened with, Adventure Time is kind of having that right now. It's just
man.
It's just like, all right, guys, let's just.
They're just trying to get more money now.
Yeah. And I don't think it's the creator's fault. I think it's more Cartoon Network's fault. But like, Alex Hirsch is the creator of Gravity Falls. For him to be able to have the vision to be like, it's 2 seasons. This is it. We're not going to squeeze anymore. We're not going to like try and squeeze some filler out of it or a spin-off show. Like, this is what you get. And it's what
good.
you get is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. That'll be my next show because I'll watch that and Narcos.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 2 completely different shows, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What's your favorite show?
Favorite show? I've seen so many shows. I used to always switch out my top 10 favorite shows. I'll just say Lost, maybe. Even though after seeing it a couple more times, I started liking it less and less. But I still remember how I felt the very first time I saw it. Because I saw some of it when it was on air, and then years went by, then I watched all of it on Netflix. And the feeling I had from watching it was pure just amazement and just curiosity. But when I went back and watched it, I was just noticing a couple of things. I'm like,
Yeah.
So maybe Lost. I've seen a lot of shows. Battlestar Galactica, Community. I've just seen so many shows.
My girlfriend and Sable and I couldn't take Community for much more than like 2 seasons. Because after a while, it kind of, again, has that whole just like running too long. And it's just like, all right, we get it. Like, these characters are these characters.
Yeah.
And, that happens a lot with like character-based shows, like with Big Bang Theory. Like,
man,
just like turned up the knob, just turned up the knob on all of the characteristics of the characters that made them them. So it's like, oh, Sheldon, he's awkward and smart and whatever, and so it's just like, all right, just keep turning that up to where it's just annoying now.
Can we talk about Big Bang Theory real quick?
Let's go.
I'll start out by saying I've only seen like 1 episode, maybe 2. I'm not a fan of this show.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't understand it. I talk about we all need to have understanding. This is something I can't understand it, and I feel like I don't want to go into like it's offensive because it's like a caricature of like geeky nerdy culture or something, but it just feels off to me, kind of.
Yeah.
It feels a little. I don't know. It feels a little off to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It sort of just tries to. I mean, nerd culture has just been like okay now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Marvel movies are millions of dollars now.
Billions.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like, nerd culture has just been like, hey, it's okay to be a nerd now, which, like, hey, I wish that was more okay when I was...
For real, though, right?
Because
it's only cool being a nerd if you make other people money.
Yeah. Because even still, like, yeah, the Marvel movies are worth billions, but, like, the comic book writers and illustrators are still...
They are still... A lot of them will, unfortunately, pass away being broke because they weren't paid well. And a lot of the people who actually created the stuff aren't being paid.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. What's one of the guys... I think they say he was like the true creator of like Batman, really. I think he just passed away recently, and he did not get compensated for all this Batman stuff. Like, he's Batman. Everybody knows Batman. He was not compensated.
Because here's what I think.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's my favorite superhero.
Oh, yeah.
Batman is the best superhero.
Yeah. I feel you on that. Spider-Man used to be my favorite. He probably still... Yeah, he's still my favorite. He's still my favorite. Spider-Man. Like, I would pick Spider-Man's powers so fast. Just like,
exactly. And they're so weird, too. So
they are weird.
No one likes spiders.
Man. I always thought about being Spider-Man in Oklahoma, but being downtown, you can only
like
swing around one. Like, you swing around 2 buildings, and that's it.
No, but, like... Yeah, no, Batman is the best superhero.
Yeah.
Kind of because he's not a superhero.
Yeah.
That he takes all the stuff that, like, you know, he takes being a human and makes it super.
Yeah. I think he has the best comic book villains, too. I think he does.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
If only, I mean, because Spider-Man villains aren't really...
Yeah, he only has like a cool little few, but they're pretty good though. The cool little few are like amazing. I think. Yeah.
But a lot of them are just really silly.
Yeah, they're a little goofy.
Shout
out to Mysterio.
Mysterio's great.
I like how he is now, but I've seen like some goofy stuff with Mysterio.
I mean, 60s Spider-Man is pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Just back when like Stan Lee is, I mean, yes, he's brilliant. He created all these characters, but all that stuff is really ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the flavor of the 60s then, you know, like, hey, what about this guy who sticks to walls? Like,
he's a Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that's kind of how superheroes are created then. Yeah. And so the whole shtick was the powers, and so it's like the first comic of Spider-Man, the first like actual villain that Spider-Man had was the Chameleon. Have you heard of the Chameleon?
I'm not sure.
The Chameleon came back later and had actual powers, but the original Chameleon was a guy with a vest that had a lot of pockets so that he could change disguises really quickly.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? That's an interesting... Whoever thought of that is brilliant, I guess.
I mean, is real dumb.
How did that get okayed? We're like, get this, you guys. We have a villain, and he just changes costumes a lot.
It wasn't... I mean, Stan Lee was, like, the editor, so it's not like, hey, I made the thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how silly and stupid like Spider-Man was. Yeah. Like the Vulture doesn't really have superpowers. The old man just made some wings, and so he can rob banks well because he can fly.
Vulture is funny to me, man. He is very funny to me. To me, he's just the villain version of Icarus.
Yeah. But he's an old man.
But he's an old man. If Icarus survived.
Yeah. And...
Spoiler alert. No, I'm just playing.
I mean, that story is...
I know it's very old.
I think a few thousand years is past the statute of
You might get
limitations.
some angry messages. Like, you should have said spoiler alert for the Icarus story, because
Yeah.
I've been waiting to read that one.
Although actually, like retroactive, like spoiler alert for Steven Universe, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Garnets of Fusion, deal with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, well, I guess that one's been around for a while. But anyways, Spider-Man was silly, real silly. Like
Yeah.
the web shooters. I actually like the
The other where it's like his raw power.
well, I don't know. I go back and forth because the having the like mechanized like web shooter thing, it adds a level of like resource management. If you
Yeah.
want to think video gamey about it, like, you know, he has to keep track of how much webbing he has, and so, and also he invented the thing, and so it really shows like how much of a genius Peter Parker really is. But at the same time, having it be like his like actual like biological webbing is also really cool. But he also has unlimited webbing.
Yeah.
I've noticed recently that a lot of video gamey like plot decisions in a way like are happening in like movies.
Oh, what do you mean?
Have you seen Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
So Suicide Squad felt like a video game. Getting past the whole just it was a bad movie in general, but it felt really video gamey in the sense that it was like, I guess, quasi spoilers for Suicide Squad friends, but the way that it was like, hey, here's this team of people and they all have these different abilities is kind of like, you know, RPG elements, I guess. Like, hey, you have this guy and you have this guy.
That's reminding me of Mass Effect 2 right now.
Yeah. But then it's like they go from this point over here to try and rescue this person. I'm trying to be vague. So lessen the spoilers. And so, like, they go through, you know, the first wave of enemies and they discover, like, oh, this is who we're fighting. And then, you know, they kind of deal with a bit more. Like,
I understand.
You see how it, like, feels gamey or whatever. Then they rescue the person, and then they discover that, oh, there's this other bigger thing.
Boss
that we have
battle.
To go do. Yeah, like,
yeah.
So, like, here's the final boss battle that we have to reach. And so they, you know, do other
I
video game grinding things and then get to the boss battle. Like, it's really video gamey.
I did not think of it like that. That is true. Wow.
And I've been seeing it a lot. Maybe it's just like the fact that I play a lot of video games that I like retroactively see it, but like some things have like a very video gamey like, oh, I couldn't beat this person at first, and so like I go back and level up, and then I go back. Or like a lot of anime is that way. Do you watch any anime?
Oh yes, I love this stuff. Yes, I watch anime. I probably don't watch as much as I used to, but I watch a good amount.
What are you into?
My favorite, I don't even know. Sometimes when I tell people this is my favorite one, they kind of like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's my favorite anime. Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop.
I just finished Cowboy Bebop not too long ago.
That's one of my favorite ones, and it's very short too.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the show Firefly. That's what I meant to say. Firefly is my favorite show. Even though it got canceled. Screw you, Fox.
I actually haven't watched Firefly.
Unless you hire me one day. Actually, no, I wouldn't work for Fox now that I think about it. Screw you again.
Nice.
I have morals.
Yeah, but they don't.
Yeah.
Xmen Apocalypse, man.
Man, I haven't even seen it. Like, I've had so many chances to, but when I saw the trailer, it hit me. I was like, wow, Fox doesn't know what they're doing with X-Men. It really hit me. And then I was like, they never have. And I was like, oh my God, they never know what they're doing with this brilliant comic book.
The original X-Men was cool because it was one of the first like
it was good because
comic
it was
book
one of the
movies
first
that
ones.
were
Yeah.
like really well done. Like
Yeah.
I mean, because they were Spider-Man, which is really good. You had like the Hulk movie, which is okay, but then like X-Men's like, hey man, like
Whoa.
we got superheroes. You
Yeah.
know, we got some superhero movies out here, and they're not bad. X-Men 2 was probably like
Yeah,
the
that one-
pinnacle of like
yeah, that was the
X-Men
best
being
one.
good. And then just
I don't know what I don't know what people have been doing with superhero movies. Shout out to DC and Fox. Don't know what you guys are doing.
hey, MCU's been doing it right.
Oh yeah, they've been doing it pretty good. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Avengers 2, what was it, Ultron?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that one, but they won me back with Civil War.
Yeah,
You see Civil War? I won't spoil anything, but that was a good one.
yeah. I have like,
You got some.
well, the problem is that I've read the Civil War comics,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and the Civil War
they're-
comics is some of the best stuff that
Yeah.
I've ever read, and the stuff that happened afterwards. I'm a real Spider-Man buff, so
Yeah.
like, the stuff that happened to Spider-Man in Civil War and after Civil War in the comics, he revealed his identity to the public. He actually shut down the internet, like because there were so many Google searches for Peter Parker that like he shut down the internet.
Yeah.
And then like you get this really like awesome speech from Captain America that brings Spider-Man to his side or whatever, and like Civil War was, at least to me, was a lot about Spider-Man because he was in the center of the whole like two sides thing. It wasn't entirely about Spider-Man, but like he was a good symbol for like the two sides, you know. And then afterwards, he had to deal with the fact that his identity was out in the
Everybody
open,
knows.
and so now all these villains are trying to get him. So after Civil War, there was this Back in Black series, it was called. And basically, since he couldn't be seen in the red and blue
Yeah, he
suit
went back to the
anymore, he
black.
got back into the black symbiote suit, which was kind of a symbol for like being a sort of anti-hero. And that was just one of the coolest sequences in Spider-Man that I've ever read. But anyways, the Civil War, like, Marvel should have waited.
So they got the rights for Spider-Man all the way?
Well, they should have waited, like, another year. Because then we can have Daredevil, then we can have Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange. We have all these things that we, like, that we can actually throw into Civil War, because Civil War was this giant, like, all these superheroes are, you know, fighting. And the more superheroes you get, the bigger it feels.
Yeah.
And
Because I will
so-
say it did feel a little bit smaller than it should.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, Civil War,
It wasn't really a
Yeah.
war. It was just kind of a quarrel.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to say battle. It was like a quarrel. Yeah.
But all that aside, it was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So, I mean...
But I understand what you're coming from, because if they would have put that in the movie,
Exactly.
oh my gosh, I would have been on the edge of my seat. Like, this is
Exactly.
the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Like, you know how, like, the comic book Civil War started? Like,
How?
there were these superheroes, like, kind of like teenager or whatever. They were trying to have, like, a TV show following superheroes or whatever. And so they found out where these, like, this group of villains were hiding out in, like, some house or whatever. And one of those villains, his superpower was that he blows up.
Okay.
His name was Nitro, and he just blows up. And so they, like, go over there, the young superheroes trying to film this TV show, trying to get ratings or whatever.
Yeah.
And they go over there, and they're like, hey, we're going to arrest you guys. And Nitro's like, no, you're playing with the big boys now. Blows up next to an elementary school. And so it's just like this whole, like, national, like, like, hey, these superhuman people just like blew up an elementary school. And while a whole bunch of like superheroes showed up to like clean up and stuff, you know, the whole government is kind of like,
What are we going to do with these people?
We should probably do something about this.
Yeah.
And you know, some woman who was like the mom of one of the kids that died, like, you know, gets all up in Iron Man's face and is like,
this is your fault.
Yeah. And so, you know, gives him all the feels about it. And,
oh, wow.
you know, then Iron Man leads the charge like, hey, if you don't register, you're against me. And so it's just questionable ethics all over the place. And that just makes it like so much more powerful. And yeah, the movie was like more about like friendship and loyalty, about like, you know, like, hey, he was my friend whenever I was, you know, back then, and so I'm going to defend him to the death, which like, yeah, that's a powerful message. But to see, they had like nods to the comic stuff, like the super jail.
Yeah.
It was much bigger in the comics. There was like, it's just so good. Just read the comics. Might as well just read the comics.
I need to start back on some comics. It's been a very long time. I think it's been like, how old am I, 21? It's probably like 10 years.
Yeah.
Except I take that back. I've been reading. I just started a comic book. It's called Fables, I think, where it's like all the fairy tale people.
Oh, is that because you played The Wolf Among Us?
Yeah, sorry, because I played that. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'm about to read the comic book now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Wolf Among Us is really good.
Yeah, I love Telltale games.
Exactly.
My first one playing was The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
so good.
Hey, did you play season 2?
Mm-hmm.
You see that coming out season 3?
Yeah, I'm like, Telltale's like doing too much now.
Yeah,
like,
they are. I'm
starting to get worried. Yeah,
because I'm like, okay, yeah, Batman coming out season 3. You have season 2 possibly of A Wolf Among Us, maybe.
Yeah. Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Borderlands.
Minecraft.
And I'm scared. I'm like, I know you can grow your company, but I don't know if you grew it that much where you can do all those at the same time.
That and the fact that like their games run bad.
Yeah, so I don't know why I don't know.
Like, there's not much going on in this game, so how hard is it to just make it run?
Yeah.
Because you got Star Wars Battlefront going on with like these hyper realistic graphics, and it's just like insanity going on all the time, and it runs 60 frames a second, 1080p.
That game looks beautiful, even though I haven't played it, and I probably won't buy it though.
That's fine. It still looks amazing.
It does look amazing.
It's not my kind of game either, but
that looks like pinnacle next gen type of stuff.
If Star Wars Battlefront can run like that, then why can't Telltale with its like cell shaded, you know, like there's not even like heavy gameplay going on. It's like quick time events.
Maybe that's why they're able to hire so many people. They like cut the budget on that stuff with graphics. They're like, yeah, we'll just hire more people and make more games and make more money.
They'd make so much more money. They'd be much better received if they just like improve their system and just like, hey, look, guys, our games can run now. I'd rather. There's this quote from Shigeru Miyamoto, who did Mario and Zelda and all that. And he says, like, a delayed game is, you know, people get upset about for a little bit, and then it comes out and it's awesome. A bad game is bad forever.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like, I don't really like all the game delays that have been happening lately, which so many.
Yeah.
I mean, because Final Fantasy 15 got delayed recently.
That game looks beautiful though, but that was
The Last Guardian actually got delayed again.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, bro, that's supposed to be out like 15 years ago or something. How long was it? It was like 10 years maybe.
Well, I mean, same with Final Fantasy 15. That was going to be versus 13.
Is that the reason why Kingdom Hearts 3 is taking so long?
I don't know, but
I feel like I'm never.
At least
they
they still haven't said when Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out. So
Yeah.
it's better when you just don't announce a release date and just go, it'll come out when we finish it.
I wish more game developers would do what Fallout 4 did.
Exactly.
They announced it, and I think it was coming out like 4 months later. Like, it
Yep.
was already like done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, see, this is what you need to do instead of telling
Yeah.
us 3-4 years in advance or 2
Yeah.
years in advance.
Or just nothing at all.
Yeah.
Like, why show us a game that's
do it like
never
Beyonce,
gonna
just
come
drop it out of nowhere. We're
Right?
like, what? It's out?
I think that's just what's gonna happen with Half-Life 3.
I hope so, man.
Like
'cause
one day people are just gonna log on to Steam
on Steam, be like, what?
and it's just gonna just be on the front page of the store of Steam. You're just gonna see like Half-Life 3.
I think that one would break
$60.
the internet, like the
There
Peter
you go.
Parker thing. Because I would literally flip it. I'd be like, this can't be real. I'm tired of getting my hopes up and then being like, oh, it's just a hoax.
Yeah, no. Just one day Valve is just gonna go, here you go.
I really like Valve, even though they break my heart with the Half-Life 3 thing.
But have they failed ever?
Yeah, they haven't at all. And I think they still know what they're doing. They obviously know what they're doing because
Yeah.
everyone uses Steam.
I mean,
everybody.
honestly, like their weakest game I can think of might be like Left 4 Dead 2,
Yeah.
which was really good.
And that was my game. I loved Left 4 Dead. Those are some good games because I would literally replay them over and over. I'd just be bored just because the zombies did
Yeah.
just unique stuff every time.
But I mean, Portal doesn't even have to be a full-length game, and it's already like, here you go. Here's just a little proof of concept that we did, and it's amazing.
Yeah, Portal
then-
was good.
Portal 2, Half-Life and Half-Life 2, all the episodes with it. Like, Valve doesn't make bad games.
Yeah, did you play Portal 2? You beat it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you beat the co-op too?
I haven't beat the co-op because I haven't had anyone to co-op with.
Man. The only reason I was able to beat it co-op because my friend won. We were both playing Portal at the same time, so I think we did the co-op version before the single player. That was challenging.
Really?
That was like, because you got 4 portals and you're like, yeah, okay, I got to put one here, 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 and here. How we get to this other side of the room. It was so complex, but it was really fun. It was frustrating though. Yeah.
I mean, it's also like the wit. Like,
Yeah.
the games are so witty. Like, yeah, it's one thing to just have solve all these complex puzzles with different mechanics and stuff, but like, for then when you beat it, Gladys goes, "Yeah, but you're still an idiot. You're still an idiot."
Yeah, that was funny. That guy was, who was it? Will Wheaton that was playing?
No, it was some British comedian, but Wheatley.
Oh, okay. Oh, Wheatley.
Yeah.
Oh, Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton.
That's whatever. Yeah, it's just like they're so good.
Yeah, those are good.
Oh man, we should probably.
Is it time to wrap it up?
Yeah. Plug your things since it's a separate podcast.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. This is Duquan once again, and I am going to give a special shout out to. When's this going to be released?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. Okay, never mind then. I will give a special shout out to Mahar Basin. That's my girlfriend.
All right. Where can we follow you on Twitter?
Yes, if you want to follow me on Twitter, go to Duquan the Jedi. That's DUQUAN, and then the Jedi.
Yeah. And then maybe at some point in the future we'll get to hear your awesome
Some music.
concept rap music.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll probably be in January, maybe January 28th.
Awesome. And I'm Santiago Ramones. You can find all the stuff that I do, my Twitter, my SoundCloud, all my music's on my SoundCloud. But you can find all my stuff on SantiagoRamones.com, including this podcast. I always end every podcast with love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being here, man.
All right, no problem. Thank you for inviting me.